In the month of May, Blake Shelton made his comeback to his roots by releasing his first album in 4 years, which was befittingly titled For Recreational Use Only. The country musician, who had previously only recorded love songs with his wife Gwen Stefani, surprised everyone by releasing a duet called Hangin' On. This is the first song that the two of them had recorded together after their breakup. Blake stated that they worked together on the song, which is about breaking up but still trying to stay together, as he stated in an interview with Access Hollywood in March. He also stated that he chose the song simply because it's a badass country song, and he insisted that it's really no reflection of where Gwen and I are in our relationship, I hope. Over the past few months, both Blake's fans and his friends have expressed growing anxiety that the message may contain more autobiographical elements than he has disclosed. Not a single photograph of the two of them has been taken in several months. A source close to the situation has informed Star that date nights and getaways don't seem to be happening anymore. Recently, Gwen and Blake have been spending a significant amount of time apart from one another. Following the disclosure of their separate marriages, the country music singer and the pop star suddenly fell in love 10 years ago. Blake's marriage was to fellow country singer Miranda Lambert, who was 42 years old, while Gwen's marriage was to Bush vocalist Gavin Rossdale, who was 60 years old. They became close via the experience of experiencing the same heartbreak while working as coaches on The Voice. They tied the knot 4 years ago in the chapel that Blake constructed for his wife on his ranch in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. They have continued to demonstrate their love to the world on the NBC competition series till the year 2022. The two were an unexpected couple, with Gwen being a fashion-obsessed resident of California and Blake being a rural folk who grew up in the country. According to The Insider, The Voice was beneficial for their marriage because it helped them become more professional with one another. The source says that because Blake is rooted in the country and Gwen is looking ahead to a 2026 Las Vegas residency at Sphere, it's become a talking point among friends and fans that they're living separate lives. This is in addition to the fact that it provided Blake, who is not in LA and never will be, with a reason to spend time in Los Angeles, despite the fact that he prefers to be on his beloved farm. There are a lot of folks who believe that the enchantment has begun to wear off. A change that is noticeable. It had been 7 months since they last stood together on a red carpet. This was back in March, when Blake hosted the celebration of the Grand Ole Opry's 100th anniversary on NBC. In April, a few weeks later, Gwen uploaded photographs that she had taken during a trip to the Ozarks with Blake and her 3 sons from her former marriage, Kingston, who is 19 years old, Zuma, who is 17 years old, and Apollo, who is 11 years old. Over the course of the summer, she shared heartfelt tributes to their stepfather on social media on Father's Day, his 49th birthday, and their wedding anniversary. However, activities have become noticeably less active since then. On October 3, Blake posted a message to his pretty girl on Instagram to celebrate Gwen's 56th birthday. The message was brief and, for Blake, relatively subdued. The couple has dialed things back, marking a shift from the days when they would seemingly shout their love from the rooftops. Fans who are used to their big, public love fests find it difficult not to notice that the couple has dialed things back. This includes gushing posts, public displays of affection on the red carpet, and plenty of humorous back and forth. In response to a question from ESPN's Pat McAfee about the growing public nature of the relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, Blake responded that he understood the situation because he had also engaged in the same behavior. "Look, I'm dating Gwen Stefani," she said. "It's like that? Do you understand what I mean when I say that I want the world to know that?" Putting oneself out there was a means of demonstrating to the world that they were super into each other and proud of each other and their accomplishments, he added, adding that it was a method of putting themselves out there. What now? A little less so. According to The Insider, the truth of the matter is that they are both so different, and it is actually beginning to become more apparent now. There is a genuine concern that given the current trajectory of events, Blake and Gwen might end up becoming yet another Hollywood divorce victim, despite the fact that this is the very last thing that either of them would want from their relationship. People who are distinct. It wasn't until Blake was 14 years old that he realized what brought him genuine joy. In February, he explained his interests to Hook and Barrel magazine, saying, "Country music, fishing, and hunting." Gwen, too, was a fan of music, but she admitted to people that she never liked it when it was dirty, bugged, or damp. In an interview with Rolling Stone, the frontwoman of No Doubt admitted that she and Blake are so opposite in so many ways. "I'm like makeup girl," says the frontwoman. A painful experience led them to discover each other. "I was at rock bottom, in the middle of hell," Blake said in an interview with Billboard after the dissolution of their prior marriages in 2015. "Gwen saved my life." Who else on the face of the globe could possibly comprehend the experience of going through a very public divorce with another musician? Blake also rediscovered his Christian roots at the same time as Gwen was turning to her Roman Catholic faith in order to begin the healing process. A few years into their relationship, he made the statement to the Tennessean, "I believe in God now more than I ever have in my life," giving the impression that he was attributing his connection to the influence of spiritual force. In Oklahoma, the girl from the city and the lad from the country made an effort to find anything they had in common. "There is so much joy in gardening together," Gwen said in an interview with Rolling Stone from 2016. Within the year 2024, Blake boasted to Nylon that she had even acquired her own tractor. The previous year, he boasted about her natural tendency to nurture others. For example, he remarked, "Gwen has an incredible sense for planting things, how to grow them, and once it's growing, how to cultivate it, and when to prune something." He went on to say, "I like to farm on a large scale, like corn or beans, acres at a time." But the truth, according to the source, is that Gwen is more at home in Los Angeles due to the fact that she focuses more on patches here and there and ends up farming things a little better than I do. This living in the great outdoors does not truly stimulate or excite her in the same way that it does Blake. The fact that she moved to the ranch full-time for him was a sacrifice that she made for him, and it has been a lonely existence at times. Less time spent apart. Currently, Gwen is getting ready for a delightful getaway. Last month, days before the October 19 debut of the new music competition show Blake's hosting on CBS, The Road, No Doubt announced the band is reuniting for a series of high-profile concerts in Las Vegas, marking the 30th anniversary of their seminal album, Tragic Kingdom, which produced hits that include Just a Girl, Don't Speak, Spiderwebs, and Sunday Morning. Blake is busy too, says the source, making music, occasional tour dates, his Ole Red restaurant chain, and TV projects. But he's all about the downtime when he can get it these days, whereas Gwen's got a ton of commitments coming up. The residency in Las Vegas is a significant accomplishment. She is thrilled about it, but she is also anxious about it because it is a tremendous responsibility, and this will result in more time spent apart from Blake. And this could be the final chapter. When we last saw Blake, he was gushing about how happy his life was with his wife. "She is my best friend," he said in an interview with Access Hollywood. "Perhaps that is the secret. We literally have a great time whenever we are together. Whether we're having a cup of coffee in the morning or watching a movie or performing in an arena somewhere," the source says. Those who are familiar with them are hoping that they will be able to return to that spot and get back on track. Getting back into the same room and putting a stop to the rot before it's too late is the most important thing to do. The beginning of their relationship seemed to demonstrate that love could cross worlds. Country and pop, Oklahoma and California, two very different rhythms of life. Blake and Gwen seemed to prove this from the very beginning of their relationship. As of late 2025, however, there have been claims that they may be living separate lives, which raises doubts about what is going on behind the scenes. As a result, here is a comprehensive look into their journey, including what we know, what is unknown, and what the reports might really represent. A1. It was an unexpected beginning to a love story. In the beginning of our story, we have two celebrities who are stars on the popular television show The Voice. Blake is the experienced country coach, and Gwen is the pop queen who is now a judge. In 2014, while they were both dealing with the repercussions of traumatic and public divorces, they came together. Miranda Lambert and Blake had been married for a period of time, However, they split in 2015. In 2015, Gwen Rossdale also ended her relationship with Gavin Rossdale. Their mutual experience of heartbreak and the strange sense of solace that came from understanding exactly what the other was going through brought them together. Later on, Gwen referred to her encounter with Blake as a second chance at life. In the years that followed, they worked together musically, both publicly and privately, entwining their lives and professions through activities such as duets, joint appearances, and public vows of love that they discussed together. 2. The date of the wedding is July 3, 2021. Following a courtship that lasted for 5 years, Blake and Gwen became legally married on July 3, 2021, in a private ceremony that took place at the chapel of Blake's ranch in Oklahoma. Gwen donned a Vera Wang gown that was made to order, and she wore old cowboy boots. The wedding was a perfect combination of rustic charm and celebrity flair. This particular wedding was a representation of the coming together of two different worlds, Gwen's pop star background and Blake's country roots, the beaches of California and the farmland of Oklahoma. The match was described as being both implausible and sincere by both friends and the media. 3. The current statements made by the reports. The story has undergone some changes by the time we reach the latter half of the year 2025. According to Taste of Country, Blake and Gwen have been seen together less frequently, and their work schedules are extremely different from one another. Blake is concentrating on his solo projects, his restaurants, and new performances, while Gwen is getting ready for a large residency in Las Vegas and a reunion with her band, No Doubt. According to a different news organization, they are living separate lives, and they cite inside sources who indicate that their friends and fans are concerned about them. Some analysis, on the other hand, argues that the idea is not necessarily that the marriage is disintegrating. Rather, it is that the couple is just pursuing distinct professional paths, and their time together has decreased. This is not an unusual occurrence in high-profile jobs. To summarize, the phrase living separate lives may be a simplistic way of expressing something that is more subtle. 4. Which factors could be contributing to the distance? A number of potential variables contribute to the explanation of this feeling of separation. Gwen is preparing for huge pop stage obligations, with a residency in Las Vegas and a reunion with No Doubt, and as a result, she is spending time elsewhere. Blake, on the other hand, is deeply planted in country music, Oklahoma, his Ole Red restaurant, and his hosting duties. Different rhythms and periods of life. Their histories are distinct from one another. While Blake's life has always been centered on his roots in a tiny town and his country touring, Gwen's life has always been centered on global pop stardom and fashion. To marry into difference is one thing, but to synchronize one's day-to-day existence is something else different. High expectations and schedules. When two celebrities each have a lot going on in their lives, it is only natural that they will have less time to spend together. Fans are said to have noted that they have not been walking red carpets together as frequently as they used to. With fame comes scrutiny, and with that comes public perception and pressure. The concept of the ideal celebrity couple is unrelenting. Whenever things alter or slow down, conjecture develops, even if the couple appears to be steady. 5. So, are they going their separate ways? In the present moment, there is no official declaration of a separation, divorce, or imminent breakdown that has been confirmed. We have the following. According to remarks made by insiders, the phrases living separate lives and a lot of time apart have become popular topics of conversation among their friends and followers. Some media sites emphasize that this is just due to busy schedules and not a heading for split scenario. This is a balanced view. Gwen and Blake have not made any public statements indicating that they are dissolving their relationship. There has been no official announcement. At the very least, their public words and Instagram pictures continue to be filled with affection. 6. In what ways does this affect their marriage? My interpretation of the scene, based on what I read between the lines, is as follows. Love against practicality. Although the emotional connection may still be strong, the time spent together is limited due to the responsibilities of the occupation. it is more likely that the phrase separate lives refers to the logistical realities than it does to the emotional abandonment experience. Different seasons. It's possible that the marriage is about to begin a period of parallel lives, which represents the peak years of each individual, rather than a period of constant togetherness. While this model is successful for some couples, it is not successful for others. While there is a decline in the number of experiences that are shared, the relationship needs further intention. This includes making plans to spend time together, maintaining communication even while they are apart, and reiterating commitment both publicly and privately. The family situation is as follows. Gwen has 3 sons from her previous marriage, Kingston, Zuma, and Apollo, and Blake is acting in the position of stepfather. According to reports, he takes such a responsibility quite seriously. Blending families offers an additional layer of complexity, particularly when the schedule of one partner takes precedence. Expectations of the public and their identity. As a couple, they have established a brand that combines country stardom with pop queendom. There is a shift in the public narrative that magnifies little breaches whenever there is a change in reality, such as less togetherness and more independent labor. 7. For them, the reasons why this works or may work. Acknowledging the factors that have kept them together up to this point is important. A basis that was established throughout times of personal turmoil. Both had been through significant divorces in public, and their relationship began with a shared sense of hurt, which can lead to the formation of strong bonds. The collaboration of musical styles. It is not just that they have tied the knot, they have also collaborated on projects, songs, performances, which results in a joint investment. Combining 2 different realities rather than one world taking precedence over the other. Gwen is not expected to become a country music star, and Blake is not expected to become a pop star. Rather, each comes with their own context. Regard for one's family and one's role. The words that Blake made about being a stepdad demonstrate his intention. When Gwen acknowledges the beneficial impact that Blake has had, it demonstrates mutuality. As a result of this, the current obstacle, which is distance, might be able to be overcome if it is traversed mindfully. 8. The dangerous zones. Nevertheless, there are dangers that they will have to deal with. Relationships that are physically separated on a regular basis might lead to emotional drift if time apart becomes the norm rather than the exception. Lack of common aims and time. If Gwen's residency in Las Vegas and Blake's initiatives in Oklahoma allow little overlap, then their connection may become less strong. Taking control of the story from the outside. When fans and the media publicly question a marriage, the pair may experience feelings of pressure or intrusion, which may result in the couple losing touch with one another. Less time spent together can be a source of stress for families, particularly for children who feel as though they are trapped in the orbit of one parent. This is especially true in the case of blended families and stepchildren. And 9. What happens after this? The following is a list of potential outcomes for Blake and Gwen. Resynchronization phase. They may make a concerted effort to synchronize their schedules in order to have a reconnection year, which would include traveling together, making more joint appearances, and possibly even releasing a joint album or tour. Parallel but supporting model. They acknowledge that they have different major focuses, but they continue to have excellent communication, consistent visits, and shared rituals, which allows their marriage to function even when they are not physically together all the time. They may eventually become couples who support each other but live more independent lives, which is not uncommon in high-profile occupations, but they continue to have shared family boundaries. Over time, they may gradually transition to more distinct lives while maintaining respect for one another. Given the existing indicators, the breakup or separation is the least likely outcome. Yet, it is still a possibility if communication and connection become more strained. That course of action is not supported by any evidence at this time. 10. Remarks to conclude. The title Living Separate Lives gives off an impression of being dramatic. In the context of the situation, however, the phrase leading demanding lives in parallel emerges as the more realistic explanation. Blake and Gwen are 2 powerful and creative individuals whose occupations are pushing them in separate ways. That is not the same thing as failure. It could just signal that they are moving into a new phase of their partnership. They got married in 2021 with love and intention, and since then, they have developed a life together that includes music, family, and stardom at the same time. It's possible that what they are going through right now is just a test of how a contemporary famous couple can endure the passage of time, physical distance, and individual aspirations. When all is said and done, only Blake and Gwen are aware of the complete truth regarding their association. In public discourse, speculation is the norm. However, based on what is obvious, it appears that their love foundation is genuine. The responsibilities of their profession are significant, and the distance that they are currently experiencing may be an adjustment rather than an ending. If I were to place a bet, I would say that this is most likely the narrative of two individuals who are working hard to maintain the us of their marriage, while also pursuing their own jobs. This will not be determined by what is going on in the public eye. Rather, it will be determined by how they communicate with one another, how they prioritize their priorities, and how they choose to show up for each other and for the family that they have established.